They called him just Mac. Not Major, not Captain, not some hero with medals pinned crooked on his chest. Just Mac. And in a galaxy that had catalogued entire species as either resource or insignificant, that one human was about to redefine the word dangerous. The battle had started 6 hours earlier. The Zarvok Dominion fleet had cornered humanity's last mining convoy on the edges of the Helion Rift. Freighters burned, hulls twisted into molten scrap, and every life aboard screamed silently into the void. Yet Mac wasn't in the fleet. He was on a scavenger station orbiting a dead moon, nursing a gun that had never seen a proper target bigger than a rat. And then she appeared. A blur of violet light crashed through the station's outer hull. Alia, tumbled into the debris-filled corridor, sparks raining from her cracked exosuit. Her species, the Valens, were supposed to be predators at the top of the food chain. She was supposed to be untouchable. Yet here she was, human eyes staring at hers, eyes that had survived more explosions than birthdays. Mac didn't hesitate. He grabbed her before a section of wall collapsed, his arms like steel levers in 0G. "You're human." Her voice was disbelief, crackling through the static of her suit. "You're not getting squashed on my watch," he replied, dragging her to a safer corridor. Then, with a half-grin, he added, "Don't worry. I've never lost a fight I actually wanted to win." Her laugh was a choked, metallic thing, but genuine. For the first time in her short, terror-filled life, Alia felt hope. Outside, the station groaned under incoming fire, metal tearing like paper. Inside, Mac checked the pulse cannon he had jury-rigged from scavenged parts. He glanced at her. "Buckle up. You're about to see why humans aren't just stubborn, they're lethal." Alia's violet eyes widened. "I thought we were the apex predators." "Depends on the definition of predator," he said. "Some of us just have better survival instincts, and a taste for chaos." And with that, they plunged deeper into the labyrinthine corridors of the station, the distant roar of alien engines shaking the hull, their fates intertwined by luck, instinct, and a stubborn refusal to die quietly. The Valens weren't subtle. Their drones scoured the sector like living shadows, each the size of a small starship, plasma lances ready to incinerate anything with a pulse of organic life. Mac had no fleet, no reinforcements, no strategic advantage. Just a jury-rigged pulse cannon, a handful of stolen grenades, and a human's unreasoning audacity. Alia tried to reason with him. "You can't survive this. You'll die." Mac's laugh was a gravelly rasp, bouncing off the cracked metal walls. "Yeah, maybe. But I'll die making them regret underestimating a human. You ever see a predator scream?" She blinked at him. I don't even, humans." "Exactly," he said, smirking. "We're unpredictable. Chaos wrapped in skin and bad decisions." The station shuddered violently as the first drone tore through the docking bay. Mac kicked Alia behind a reinforced panel, then grabbed the pulse cannon. The first shot missed the drone entirely. The second nearly tore the ceiling off. The third? The drone's plasma reactor exploded, showering sparks and molten metal in every direction. Alia stared, wide-eyed. "You're insane." "I'm human," he said simply. "Insane's part of the resume." Hours passed in a blur of fire and debris. They ran, ducked, and fought through corridors that had once been quiet workspaces, now twisted into death trap. Every panel became a shield. Every pipe a weapon. Mac's grin never faltered, even as the station shuddered under incoming fire. Between bursts of gunfire and shattered flooring, Alia started to notice something she hadn't expected: admiration. Maybe even a flicker of affection. Dangerous, irrational, utterly human fascination. This human, this reckless creature, had a courage that didn't make sense. And it terrified and thrilled her at the same time. By the time they reached the escape shuttles, the station was a crater, the drones circling like vultures over bones. Mac pulled open a hatch. Alia hesitated, fingers brushing the cold metal of his jacket. "You're reckless," she said softly. "I'm a human," he replied, voice low, almost conspiratorial. "Reckless is what we do best." She climbed in first. He followed, carrying a last few grenades like a gift. As the engines roared to life, she caught a glimpse of Mac's face, twisted into a grin that promised survival, pain, and maybe, just maybe, vengeance. The stars outside blurred as they shot through space, and somewhere deep in her chest, Alia felt a strange, new warmth, a connection that no alien politics, no predator instinct, no war games could explain. Humans weren't supposed to survive situations like this. They weren't supposed to make enemies tremble. Yet here he was, proving every terrifying rumor true, and pulling her into it with him. Space is a cruel auditor. It remembers every insult, every miscalculation, every life thrown away for arrogance. The Zarvok Dominion had underestimated humans for centuries, and Mac intended to cash in on every single misjudgment. The shuttle emerged into the Helion Rift, engines burning at full, trailing streaks of fire across the black. Behind them, the Dominion's capital cruiser appeared, a leviathan of dark steel, its hull bristling with weapons designed to annihilate entire fleet. The view screen lit with the cold glare of High Marshal Croth, the Dominion commander. His voice, metallic and cruel, echoed through the comms. "Humans. Always crawling out of the ash." Mac's grin widened. "Yeah, crawling. But this time? Crawling with nukes strapped to our elbows." Alia watched him, heart pounding. "You can't, this will." "Watch me," Mac cut in, eyes gleaming. "Humans survive when everyone else thinks we're done. We don't negotiate. We improvise. And we don't forget." With a flick of his wrist, he rerouted power to the shuttle's engines and armed the experimental payload they had scavenged, a stolen Valen quantum disruptor, jury-rigged to detonate inside the cruiser. Every technician in the galaxy would have called it suicide. Mac called it Tuesday. The shuttle dove straight for the cruiser's docking bay, weaving with impossible precision. The Valen gunners fired, plasma lances slashing the void, but Mac danced through them like a predator born for chaos. Alia gripped the seat, breath caught somewhere between awe and terror. Inside the docking bay, the disruptor activated. Systems overloaded in a cascade of sparks and screams. The cruiser shuddered, the hull groaning as internal explosions turned corridors into molten veins. The Dominion crew had no idea how quickly their empire could crumble from one human's audacity. Alia's voice trembled. You're terrifying." "And you," Max said softly, as the shuttle spun free of the wreckage, "aren't so untouchable either. Glad you're alive." She realized then that she wasn't just alive, she was seeing humans at their apex. Cunning, fearless, relentless. Every move Mac made was a lesson in why the galaxy had consistently misjudged them. The Dominion believed in hierarchy, in supremacy, in predictability. Humans thrived on none of that. They thrived on audacity. As the shuttle pulled away, leaving the cruiser a smoldering husk behind them, Alia's chest tightened. Somewhere between fear and admiration, she recognized a new truth. Humans weren't just survivors. They were horrifyingly efficient predators, and Mac was the perfect example. Floating in the aftermath of destruction, their hands brushed. The spark was almost literal in the zero-G hum of victory. And Alia knew, whether she wanted to or not, her life had changed. Forever. The galaxy had underestimated humans. But Mac had made them pay, and the lesson would echo far beyond this sector. Days later, the aftermath was undeniable. The Zarvok Dominion had lost a capital cruiser, hundreds of drones, and, more importantly, their arrogance. Entire fleets paused, diplomacy became a frantic scramble, and whispers of humans being uncontrollable spread like wildfire through alien corridors of power. Alia, now aboard a human ship, looked at Mac. Her violet eyes, once fierce and predatory, were softened by awe and something she hadn't expected: affection. You could have died. I could have, Mac admitted, voice low, tinged with that half-grin humans seem to carry in every near-death moment. But I'd die protecting someone I care about. Her heart, a Valen heart, trained for dominance and survival, Skip. For a species bred to see everything as a threat, she had never felt more equal, more vulnerable, or more alive. Mac leaned closer, the subtle gravity of his presence grounding her. Besides, he added with a wry chuckle, humans have this funny habit. We survive when everyone else thinks we're finished. And we leave a mark. She smiled, exasperated, fascinated, and utterly captivated. I already see it. Beyond the viewport, stars streaked past, indifferent to the small, reckless human and the alien girl who had fallen for him. The galaxy was a dangerous place, but in Mac, Alia had discovered a paradox. Terrifying, chaotic, brutal, and yet profoundly protective. The lesson the Dominion would never forget? Underestimating humans is fatal. They don't just fight. They destroy expectations. They improvise. They survive against impossible odds. And sometimes, just sometimes, they make enemies, alien predators included, question everything they thought they knew. Mac laughed softly, a sound that carried equal parts mischief and defiance. Alia rested her head against his shoulder, finally allowing herself to relax. Humanity wasn't just surviving in this galaxy, it was rewriting the rules. And Mac, in all his reckless glory, was leading the charge. The universe had assumed humans were weak, fragile, and predictable. Mac had proven otherwise. Brilliant, terrifying, relentless humans. And Alia? She had no desire to return to her old life. She wanted to follow this human into chaos, into victory, into every impossible adventure he dared to face. In the end, the galaxy would remember this story for centuries. A human saved an alien girl, destroyed a capital cruiser, and reminded the universe that humanity's reach, cunning, and audacity were infinite. Mac didn't just survive. He left a scar on the stars themselves. And somewhere deep in the Hellion Rift, the human laugh echoed again, a promise to the galaxy. Underestimate us and you won't just lose. You'll wish you had.